And this will continue to be a series of unfolding. So let's dive in. I apologize for the poor lighting. It seems to be a theme, but we work with what we got. Dagaz. The word dag itself refers to day. So Dagaz as a rune refers to the coming of a new day. It's the shifting from night into the dawning of a new light, the coming of new light. And there are associations with this rune to Baldur, the god of light and of healing and of his return. We can dive deeper into that in another video. But the return of Baldur, the return of light. So it represents entering into a new day. But Dagaz, as you can see, is balanced by these two triangle symbols facing each other and meeting at a point. Balance, night and day, masculine and feminine, and the meeting point between the two. Finding the meeting point of balance between opposites. And I want to use a different word than opposites. Complementary. Because how opposite really is man from woman, masculine from feminine? How opposite really is the night from the day? They fold into each other. They complement each other. They complement each other. And wherein is that meeting point? The meeting point is where the connection happens, where information can flow. If this triangle was up here and this was down here, information could not flow. Night would not become into day, and day would not come back into night. There would not be this flow, this union, this meeting point. And so it is in our lives, with the masculine and feminine balance that lies within us. Where is that meeting point? And fortunately for us, we find that meeting point when we interact with others in the physical realm. We gain information from others when we interact with them. I mean, that's so obvious and common sense to say. But the other is a reflection of us. And where is that meeting point where information can pass through? And I want to show you another rune too. The rune here, I'm bringing the camera closer. This rune here is manas. Manas. It represents kinship, relationship. And look, we have Dagaz. We have Dagaz. And then we have these two lines here, which represent the individual. Individual finding the meeting point. Where is that point of connection in coming together? And there are so many layers to this. There are so many layers of relationship, so many forms of relationship. Examine, if it's beneficial to you, the point at which you come into contact with the other. Where do you meet another? Where is that meeting point? Because that meeting point determines how and in what way and what kind of information passes through. And this is really important. This is really important to talk about relationship and how the information passes through. Is that center point from mind to mind? Is that center connecting from heart to heart? Is it connecting in a sexual way? How is the information, and at what meeting point is that passing through to the other? And so the other in the physical realm, in the physical reality that you can touch and feel and see, those interactions are often our best mirror into the inner reactions. Okay, I see that with this situation, I am meeting it. Scan your body. Where do you feel that meeting point, that passing of information occurring? Where is the complement within myself? Why do we do this? Why am I bringing the runes to here, to that point? Because in order to find, to encounter our complement, it's complementary to your nature, to who you are, for your growth, for your benefit. For your benefit to find a complement, you must be aware of the things preventing you from being in balance and finding that meeting point where the information can flow in a good way. Because the blockages, they put a film, they put filters onto how we receive information. And so if you have a blockage, you are not receiving the information correctly. You are receiving a filtered version of what that is, and it cannot dawn into a new day. You are stuck. You are stuck. Let's see if I can think of a good, relevant example. Okay. Let's say you want to communicate something well to your employer. And it's work related. Let's say you are wanting to do a different task, or you feel uncomfortable about something work related, and you want to bring this up to your employer. This is an example. In order to bring about the new, which is the reason why you're bringing something up to your employer, is because you have a motive to change something, whether it is doing something different, changing jobs, bringing up a concern to resolve it, bringing in the light. You are bringing in the light. That is the intention. Now you are faced with another person. You, the other person. Now you are faced with the other person. And you want the information to flow in a good way. How then do you meet them? First and foremost, you can't control the other person. All you can do is be aware of your own energy that you are bringing to this conversation, to the situation. Where are you meeting this person? Where would you like to meet this person? In this situation, it will probably be more intellectual, straight to the point. Let's not bring it in a personal way, because it's not personal. It is about work. And that gets so intertwined and messy and gray. Of course, you want your heart to be connected to your mind, We have a brain, we have a head for a reason. Do not put that down. Right? It's like the mind is a beautiful, important tool, and we can bring it back to the elements. Say the mind is air, and the water, or the heart is water, and the sexual centers are earth, let's say. Instead of saying, let's use more of our brain instead of our heart, because that lingo gets messy and blurry, and I want to just say, we want to act with care. We want to act with integrity and honesty and with respect and with love. There are different meeting points at which we meet another person at a given time. So you're meeting with your employer, and let's say you want to meet from this space. Bring her there. Be the one to bring the energy, her or him. Bring them there. Bring them to that space so that they can connect with you in that way. People like to mirror. We are mirrors of each other. Be aware of yourself. Remember the video I made of tool number 1. Be really present with yourself. Be really present with yourself. Be aware of your boundaries. This is the work. It takes daily work. And there is so much we become, what is the word? So accustomed to that we don't even notice anymore. But a simple tool is to take a moment to recognize, okay, in what space in my body, in my energy centers, am I approaching this situation from? Am I approaching it from a more watery, emotional place? We're still in the example of the workplace. Or am I able to maneuver it in a different way so that I am responsible? Remember the other tool. I take responsibility for this situation. I am coming at this situation from this place. And just perhaps the other will meet you there so that the information can pass and a new dawn can begin. Light is brought to that situation. Light is then brought into the situation because you became aware. Because you became aware of what you are bringing and how you are bringing it to the meeting with the other. Another example. Somebody wanted to ask me out at the coffee shop today. And they were coming on strong, and before I just react to this person, I need to feel where in my energy centers, what signal am I giving out, with the basic understanding of I will exude love, I will exude respect, and there are so many ways to go about a situation. I can reject this person. I could become frustrated. I could give in and become all flirtatious and act from my sexual centers. But in situations a lot of the time like that, I choose to be playful, acting from here up, to send out the conscious signal of this is where my boundaries lie. This is where my boundaries lie. This is how I, taking responsibility for myself, taking responsibility for the world that I am in, and my perception of it, my experience with it, my reactions in it, I am taking responsibility for my experience of the world, including how the world approaches me. Because then that makes me aware of my boundaries. Every interaction strengthens you and is an opportunity for you to become more conscious. It is an opportunity for you to become more conscious. You are an energy being inhabiting a beautiful vessel that moves you around, that gives you voice. Do not become so attached to how you look, to what you ascribe your personality to be, because that limits you. And I'm speaking from personal experience, and this is something that I am currently training myself on, is that I am so used to the old stories and the old perception of who I and who others thought of me as, that it is more comfortable to be that old story, and it is uncomfortable to break out of that, even if there is a desire to break out of that. But then you remind yourself that you are pure potential, babe. You are pure potential energy as well, and those old stories, those shadows, don't define you. You now have the ability, and it will take practice. It takes practice building that muscle. It is building a muscle to shine light on the shadows, not to be afraid of it, not to dismiss it, but to look at it and see it for what it is, without filters, without covering it up, so that you are aware of the complement within you. The shadow of our psyches, of our unconscious, is the complement to what we are conscious of. The shadows of the psyche, of the unconscious, are the complement of the conscious mind. And there is nothing bad or wrong with the shadows or with the unconscious. It simply is as it is, and it is our complement because it is for our benefit. It is for our benefit. Because it is for our growth. And the more we see the shadow, the bigger then the light becomes. Because they are complements. They are in union. They are in union. So if you're only aware of a small amount of your shadow, you're only aware of a small amount of your light. If you become aware of the magnitude of your shadow, which, believe me, is huge, you have big, beautiful light. And it becomes easier and easier and easier to weave in your shadow, because take it on. Again, I'm going to say it again. Take responsibility for yourself and for your experience of the world. which means taking responsibility of every single part of self, even the things you find ugly and difficult and challenging and the things that make you want to pull your hair out. Trust me, I've had a lot of those. A lot of filtering information through old stories, through fear, through anger, through jealousy. I have a tool. And you can watch tool number 1 video, which will also be connected. I already forgot the other video. Yeah, Dagaz number 1. You have a tool. Because if you take responsibility of your experience and of the world around you, that means you can stop and you are the one. This is important. You do not have to look outside of yourself to heal yourself. Become really present with yourself, especially with the things that are most uncomfortable. Because that is where the teacher is. That is where the healing is. You are not defined by your past. You can appreciate it and see it for how it is, but it is not. It does not have to come into the new story unless you want it to. Where is the meeting point? Where is the meeting point? Finding your boundaries, taking a really good, loving look, and becoming aware of how you interact with others. What are your patterns? What modes of conversation or body language do you utilize to get what you want? If you're a woman watching this, how often do you flirt and use your sexual power to get what you want or to get affirmation from others? Or how much are you getting energy and fueled by men, for example? Can you do that? Can you generate that within yourself? That was one of my things, is that unconsciously, without me being conscious of it, I would get so much energy from, receiving compliments or attention, and that then unconsciously formed my behavior and then attracted a lot more situations of acting from the sexual centers. And then when I became aware of where I was getting my energy from, and then I wanted to change that because that's not a sustainable place to be, especially if you want to build something more for yourself. You need to, I'll speak for me, I needed to act from a different place and be very vigilant and aware of from where I am stepping myself forward. It's a practice. It's hard work being aware of yourself and practicing being aware of yourself and from where you are stepping forward. Some people make me feel like a little child, and I notice that my energy centers shift and I'm this little girl and like super giggly and that's okay. That's beautiful and wonderful. Is that how I want to show up in that moment. Maybe yes, maybe no, maybe I need to bring the adult back a little bit and smile at that little girl, but bring him back to a different center. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe I'm too serious and that's not the energy I want to show up in, and so I will recognize that and shift that into a different space. Use the elements, relate things to elements, notice how things feel in your body. I recently, part of the practice is, okay, if I find somebody attractive, it is a fun game, I will tell you that. Once you get over the fact that things will be uncomfortable at times and you just accept that, because you've accepted that you are living for yourself, and I don't mean that in a selfish, all about me way. I mean that you have taken responsibility of your life and you are doing life the way you want to, the way you are co-creating with life, because it's you and God, it is you and spirit, it is you and the divine, it is you and the divine co-creating, and so you get to choose how you are showing up. And it becomes this beautiful conversation with God, with the divine, with spirit, however you want to use words for that. It becomes this conversation of just discovering yourself, of, okay, I find this person attractive, what parts of my body and my psyche get activated? And it is okay to feel that too. It doesn't mean you have to act on it. And then when you sit with that and you realize that, you can just bathe in those good feelings, because it really doesn't even mean anything about the other person necessarily, right? If you see a stranger walking by and you feel attraction, does that actually have anything to do with them, really? Because you don't know them. Maybe your body feels chemicals, you can feel their level of health, their immune system. Apparently we seek out mates with an opposite immune system to ours, so our babies become stronger. There is a lot to biology and chemistry, and our bodies and our psyches as procreative beings as we are looking for good mates. And so in that moment of, oh wow, that person is really attractive, where in your body do you feel that? For me, it's a fluttering in the sexual centers. It's that instinct of they might make a good mate. Or if you're into woman as a woman, they a good partner, a good lover, you know? There's so many reasons. But it's fun to recognize what lights up, what gets activated, what images play in your mind when your body gets activated in different ways. Triggers are a huge one. I sat with a trigger for a few minutes today, and I didn't send the message to the person, but I was writing to them as if I were to send it, and just having a conversation with myself and the divine, saying, you know what? You are a trigger for me, but it's not about you. It's about what you represent and the story that you represent to my psyche. And this is a filter I'm putting on the situation. This isn't the true nature of the story. It is the fear and the old patterns that I have put onto this person However, I recognize that that is not the real situation. That I can lift up that veil because I take responsibility for my feelings and my emotions. And I can sit with my discomfort. And I will sit with it as long as I need to, so that I can listen to why it's there and then recognize that that is not, that I do not allow that to rule my reality. No longer. I will no longer allow those triggers to rule my reality. And that is a hard one, my friends. Triggers can be really, really, really difficult. And it takes a strong will to sit down with those, to understand them. The intent to understand. Give yourself the intent to understand. I don't know why that appeared, but yes, give yourself the intent to understand. My camera agrees with me. There's one more thing I want to show you. So we talked about manas. And I don't have it drawn here. But there's manas. And then there's the rune Wunjo. And I love this because it is like two Wunjos facing each other. And Wunjo means joy. Joy. It is joy meeting itself. Giving each other pleasure, cariño, care, that meeting point of, with the intent to understand that is a level of care and of love. And I need to draw out Wunjo for you so you can see. Hold tight for a second. Okay. Where should I do it? Put it here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, the wall is a little bumpy behind this, but Wunjo. Wunjo is joy. And when you draw joy mirroring itself, ay Dios, you get manas. When joy meets itself, you get kinship, you get manas. When joy meets itself, you find yourself in kinship. That we may treat each other with cariño, with care, with respect, with the intent to understand, with light, with consciousness, with remembrance. And not to be harsh on ourselves if we forget, but we can even speak to each other in language like that. Like my sister, my brother. Remember how. Remember. Let me remind you that there is a better way. Hermano, hermana. Hay otra manera. There's another way. Let us meet each other in a complementary fashion. I have something written down. It says, between Wunjo. You can include me in your pleasure. I can include you in my pleasure. First finding my center. Am I coming from a place that is from an old story? And already predicting how you might react? Or am I solid within myself, knowing that I am a good person? I deserve love and respect and understanding. I am honest and I come forth with integrity. Which gives your mirror the freedom to do the same, because you are not sending out signals that are any different from that integrity, that love, that respect. And that solidness. Alright. Takk skal du her. And remember that the light never fully extinguishes the dark, and the dark never fully covers the light. They are each other's complement. They are each other's complement so that the information may flow and that growth may happen. Be well, my friends. Until next time.